Welcome to the Chronicles of Paranormal Sixx. We are very excited to bring to you our very first podcast. My name is Darcy, and I'm going to go around the table and introduce yourselves.
I'm Andrea.
I'm Christina.
I'm Deidre.
And I'm Scott.
And that is 5 of the 6 of Paranormal Sixx.
Who are we missing? We're missing Dave tonight, right?
Yes.
Dave's not here tonight. We're a group of 3 couples. We have Darcy and Andrea, and we have Chris and Dave. Dave is
Not here.
MIA, and Scott and Deidre. And we're based out of Buffalo, New York, and we actually have been together since November of 2011. Correct? November 4th?
November 4th.
Is that the date, Andrea?
Yes.
We
That was the day
confirmed
we
it.
made the group.
That was our first investigation. The group was in December or January of, 2012.
So
2011.
And how did we get started again? What was it that happened? Scott, you and Chris kind of made the magic begin, right?
Yeah, we were, we just happened to watch a show, one of the haunted shows on
You and
TV.
I were sitting there.
Yeah, me and Deidre were watching it, and I'd gone to work, and I was talking to my boss, and he was like, there's somebody else who likes the ghost shows and everything else. So I was like, okay. He said you should talk to Christina about it. So he brought Christina into the office with me, and we were all talking, and we said, well, we should go on a ghost hunt. I just watched this show, and there's a place that's local that we can go to and investigate it, And we were just all friends, and we just decided to go. So.
And what did you do as soon as Scott asked you or talked about it?
I went to Andrea's desk and said, Andrea, you're going ghost hunting.
And Andrea, what did you do, on the spot?
I said, I don't even know what you're talking about. And I called Darcy and said, are you for real? Right? You're not going to believe what Christina wants to do. I didn't even know Scott at the time. I said, you're not going to believe what Christina wants to do. She wants to go ghost hunting. Did you know that you could actually ghost hunt? Did you know that there's a place in East Bethany that you can go to and you can investigate and be locked in all night long? And he was like, what? I want to go. And I was like, what? No, you don't.
No, you don't.
I don't want to go. And then I got off the phone and said, I can't believe he actually wants to go. I guess we're going.
And when you told Dave, your husband, what did he say?
Dave was, already, let's go. When are we going?
Oh, that's awesome.
He was excited to go.
Nice.
I think Andrea was the only one who was not excited to go.
I thought I was going to die. Legit. I told everybody, I love you.
Yeah, I thought
Literally for
when
a
she
week.
told me, she said, do you want to get locked down into a haunted asylum, abandoned haunted asylum all night? I was like, yeah. I thought she was talking about that show that was on at the time where the groups had to get locked in. They had the cameras mounted to them, and they had to go play this game.
Whatever it was called, yeah.
They had to go find the different things through the haunted
like a
place.
scavenger hunt?
Yeah, kind of
Okay.
thing. They had to complete these different. I was like, yeah. She's like, really?
You weren't expecting that answer.
No. I thought he was going to say that's stupid. Let's not do that. Or
Yeah.
more, I was hoping he was going to say that because I didn't want nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And now how do you feel about it, Andrea?
How do I feel about ghost hunting?
Are you glad that...
I'm glad, yeah. I'm glad we went. I'm still just as scared as I was that first day, but I'm glad that, I'm glad that we did it.
Awesome. And the first place we went that we keep talking about and mentioning is Rolling Hills Asylum, located in Bethany, New York. You can go to www.rollinghillsasylum.com. They have some great tours. The history of the location is amazing. So that was a great start to the group. We locally right here, and since then we started off with what? Cameras, flashlights, and I think EVP recorders, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much, yep.
And then since then we've grown to...
I still only have a camera.
Do you
and a flashlight?
Andrea?
That's
Do
literally
you?
all I have.
But is that not... And that's a great example, is that you don't need hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment.
Oh, that's not true. I use my EVP, my recorder and a flashlight and a camera.
And
Some of the best evidence you catch is on EVP recorders, as far as I'm concerned. So.
That's your... But Scott, you're also... What is your... and we'll get into this in other episodes, but
Well, Spirit Box and all the, EVP recorders and anything that brings a voice to you. I mean, I think that's the best evidence you can get. Is
the instant response
yeah,
is what you're saying.
somebody, a spirit talking to you is probably your best evidence, I think.
So you think some of your best evidence was on
I think some of the best evidence we've ever had as a group, I think, is
using the spirit box?
using, not Spirit Box, but a voice recorder in general. Excuse me. I mean, I know we have, we have a lot of evidence, but I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the best, the one I like the most, not the best, the one I like the most is EVPs.
Do you remember that first night we went to Rolling Hills?
I do.
I do.
I remember the first room we went in, the staff room. We don't even investigate in that room anymore.
The staff room.
Yeah. It was the staff eating area. It was like, and I didn't even know the door was in there. The door that was original to the building.
yeah, downstairs that's blocked off now.
The one that's
whole room
covered
is-
with the
Yeah, the whole
plastic
room
now.
is blocked off now.
Yeah.
Yeah, excuse me.
I do remember that.
Oh.
Next to the
I
Christmas
didn't-
room.
Right.
I have a picture of a big orb right there
Yes.
from that night. as a matter of fact.
Yes.
No. Yeah, next to the Christmas room, right at the end of the hall there.
Yeah. You can't even go in that room anymore.
Yeah, we did the haunted house, the first haunted house, and I was the creeper running around. I was hiding with a shadow person in there. I thought it was one of the other shadow people pushers
Right. What do you mean you were hiding with a shadow person?
because you know how we weren't supposed to be seen in the hallway.
Right.
So when the tour was coming, I went to go hide in there, and
Right.
I went and hid behind one of the pillars,
Okay.
and I looked back over my shoulder because back then it was all empty. Remember?
Yes. Yep.
And I had the black tarp. And
Cutting off half the room.
I just peeked back behind me, and I saw a shadow back there by the tarp, and I was like, "Dude, they're coming!" And I hid back behind the thing, and I was waiting.
And it was a spirit?
And then when the tour came and they went by, I was like, "All right, dude, they're gone." And I was just standing there, and I was waiting for whoever it was
Right.
to come out, and nobody came out. And I
I've
put my
never heard
flashlight
that
on.
story.
I put my flashlight on. Remember, there was a big counter back there, and then there was the big tarp behind it.
I remember the tarp. Right. Do you
Where I
remember?
saw the shadow person, nobody could stand. There was no way anybody could stand there.
I never even knew that story.
Yeah.
No kidding.
I didn't, at that point, I didn't care if the tour saw me. I
Right.
zipped out of there, you
I
know?
was gone. Oh, you were on your own?
Excuse me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you remember anything about the first night? Andrea, Chris?
I remember that. Was the Christmas room the first night?
Yeah.
I remember that because I was so mad that when you said, "Give everybody a hug," everybody in the room, one by one, was like, they're hugging me. I can feel them. It's so cute. I didn't feel nothing. Literally
We
nothing.
actually split up from you guys. We got split up from you guys for the longest time because you guys were off with your aunt and that dude that you brought from work.
That was a
And-
different time. That was not the first night because Aunt Barb didn't come with us that first investigation.
Yeah, I think the only people that were with us
No,
on
no.
the first night
No,
was
no.
Barb and Dominic.
Yeah, you guys were off with Dominic and Barb and that other dude, right?
Oh,
Mark,
the guy,
yeah, Mark.
The one that
yeah, that got scared and left.
Yeah.
Because you heard a voice.
And then
Where was
we
it?
all.
He was somewhere. He was somebody who worked in the warehouse, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember his name.
That was all I remember from that night.
That's right. I forgot about the voice that you. And what happened?
Well, it
Where
wasn't
was
a voice. It was just it was a breath over our shoulder. We were walking through one of the hallways, and it
Third
was
floor?
excuse me. It was the administration floor, and it goes into 3 different hallways where we were standing in the center of it.
In front of the elevator?
Yeah, yeah, and you just hear we're walking, and audibly over our shoulders, you could just hear like someone breathing, like they were irritated that we were there.
And you heard that through
Audibly,
your ears, not
yeah.
on recording. And he heard it too.
And we stopped.
And
We just
no.
dead stopped right there, and I said, just sit still for a minute.
Because he wanted to
'cause
run.
He was going to take off, yeah. Sit still, that's why we're here. And I just asked if anyone was here and if they'd like to talk to us. And louder over both our shoulders, we could physically hear or audibly hear this just aggravated deep breath. And
Does anybody else ever heard that there?
No.
I have not.
Yeah,
You did,
I've
Andrea?
heard it
Where did you
a couple
hear?
times.
A couple times when we were on a tour, I thought somebody was behind me because I usually back up.
Right.
I thought somebody was behind me a couple times. Different times.
Me, you, yeah, I heard it a few times, but the first time I heard it, me, you, and Dave were investigating on the top floor, and we were coming down the hall from the duck room, and I think we were going to go over to Nurse Emma's room, and when we walked out of that hall, you walked out, Scott or Dave walked out, and I was coming out last. But we weren't like walking. We were like, you know how you walk around there slow. And I heard it over my right shoulder,
So on that same
and I got
floor.
freaked out. I did the same thing, like
Yeah, that's not far from where it happened to me.
Right.
So, I mean. But yeah, I know that kid, he left that night. He's never been back to the place.
Yeah, they left early.
Yeah, he was out like a
He's
shot.
gone.
So,
we all heard the scream in the morgue. Which
That was the first night.
That was the first night,
yeah. But it didn't sound like a scream that first night. We couldn't figure out what it sounded like. I think when I heard that the next day, when I played my voice recorder, and I listened back to that stuff, and I heard that,
You were in.
yeah,
That
I
was
was
it.
like, oh, you went somewhere, and I was like,
There's
texted,
nobody here.
You gotta listen to this. I got the lady screaming. That was.
And that was we all heard it while we were there.
Right.
And then to have it on the recorder too.
Yeah, but we didn't become a group until after our second time there, right?
The first time we went there, we did a
Public.
detained.
Oh.
So it was public.
Yeah.
So it was public. It was 8 hours, but there was, oh my God, there
Yeah.
was
35,
people.
40
yeah,
other people there.
a lot
There
of
was
other
a
people
lot
there.
of people.
And then
A week later.
a week later, we went back and did a quarantine, so it was only us in the building.
I think it was after that time we decided to become a group.
That was when we had that experience in the Christmas room.
That was when we
yeah.
had the experience in the Christmas room. That was also when Dave walked down the hall, Shadow Hall by himself, and
Was it
we
that
all
time?
saw, yeah.
Well, then the first time
And we
was.
all saw him.
Then the
being
first time was the
surrounded by-
flashlight thing in the kitchen.
Yes.
Yes.
That was the
That was
first
our
time.
first equipment response, right?
Yeah, and that's.
Oh yeah,
that's
she
why it scared the crap out of me so much because it was like.
And what
And all
happened?
you
And I
hear is
forgot the
Andrew's
flashlight was even.
footsteps.
I forgot the flashlight was even on.
Tell that
Yeah.
story. Tell that story.
I tell that story every time I do a tour, just so you know.
Good.
I don't mean to offend people, but I'm going to tell you the story.
I was defending people.
Because it's talking about farting. I feel like it's offending people. So we were in the kitchen. It was late. It was like 3:30 in the morning. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning at Rolling Hills.
Yeah.
And it was done at 4. I think it was 4. It was done. So it was the very last room that we were trying to get into. We were trying to get in the Christmas room next door. But there was people in there.
Oh yeah, right.
And we couldn't get in there. So we said, let's hang out in the kitchen. And she had just told us that Maud doesn't like people
goofing around.
doesn't like
and-
people goofing around. You have to be dead serious. And
Right. I
it's
forgot about that.
We started goofing around.
I don't remember that long. We started goofing around. Half of us were on one side of the room, half of us were on the other side of the room. And we said, we were all over the place, and we started joking around and just horsing around, laughing, whatever. And then Dominic farted so loud, and it smelled so bad. Let me go back. I set my flashlight up on the table, the only table that's in there. I don't even think I told anybody I set my flashlight up. I just set it up just to set it up. And then I forgot that it was set up. So I was sitting next to the table. So when Dominic farted, it smelled so bad. I said, does it bother you that he just farted in your kitchen of all places?
Yeah,
and
I
the
remember
flashlight
that.
beamed on so bright and so
Fast.
fast. It literally scared the crap out
We
of me.
were standing by the door, right? Didn't she have to
Yeah.
run through
Yes,
us?
I literally knocked people, because I knocked Barb out of the way too. I literally knocked people out of the way trying to get out. And on recorder, you can hear me. I'm so
have it
sorry.
on
Barely,
video. I
literally,
think
we
there's
do.
video.
And we have it on, it's a lot of places.
On everybody's EVP.
You can literally hear me running out of the room because I'm so
The
scared.
scream though is pure terror. You know that feeling you're a kid and you're coming up the stairs, the basement stairs. You know what I mean? You kind of
It literally sounds
as you can hear her.
like
knocking people over.
Oh,
we
that's
actually
an
just
awesome
listened to
memory.
it not too long ago, didn't we? On something?
Yeah, I
Actually,
know.
I think it's on YouTube or something. I don't remember where it was, but we just listened to it.
On our YouTube?
I think it is. It's somewhere. We literally just watched it not too long ago. You might have it on your laptop.
So we do have evidence on our YouTube channel, Paranormal Sixx. So if it's not up there, we got to get it up there because that is
next
such.
to the Paranormal Polka. It's got to be there.
Yes. Oh, let's talk about that.
Let's
That's
talk
it,
about that.
I'm just saying, my embarrassing, you're embarrassing, everybody's embarrassing.
I don't want to talk about that.
No, that was a pretty intense. Aside from your reaction or whatever, that was a pretty intense moment, wasn't it? And
Yes,
we were
it was, and it
Chris
was,
Cox of right.
Yeah, it was. We were investigating in one of the hallways, and we saw a shadow in one of the bathrooms, and there was equipment lined up in the whole, in the middle of the floor in the hallway, and so we got closer, and we kept moving closer, and the shadow didn't disappear. It looked like it was just standing there looking at us, and
So you were in the hallway looking into the bathroom.
yes, and then we got too close, and it rushed the both of us, and it looked like it was gonna coming right at me. So I just ducked out of the way, and all of a sudden I was trying to get around equipment in the hallway so I didn't step on anything. And,
Pranced, I think is the word.
and then one of our good friends, Chris, Chris decided to put some polka music to it and put it on YouTube, and it's not real funny. But
Would you? It is.
It's not real funny.
it's not real funny to me. But if you want to
Not
watch
funny, it's
me,
cute though.
you want to watch me make an ass of myself on YouTube, go right ahead.
Well, that was an intense, one of your more intense moments, wasn't it?
Well, I was going to say.
Before the dance.
Before the dance, yeah.
Yes.
I was going to say you were floating like a butterfly.
Yeah.
There you
You
go.
moved swift through there.
For a fat guy, yeah, I was moving around pretty good. So
What was your most intense moment there?
Me?
Yeah.
Definitely the shadow people in Shadow Hallway, hence the name. We were all at one end of the hall, and Dave and Andrew's son Brandon walked down the hall, went up the stairs, and we saw something completely different than what they actually did. We thought we were watching them, and it wasn't. It was a full body, completely solid apparition that we were watching instead. That was definitely the most incredible experience I've had there.
That shadow hallway, though, is pretty intense.
I mean, when you see a crawler on the ceiling.
That's
when we
creepy.
seen that was our first night too. When we seen the shadow literally come out into the hallway, look at us, and then go back. It peeked out of the corner, stood there for a minute, like it was trying to figure out what we were doing.
And I think
And not only that, but when you're sitting there watching it and you hear all the furniture and all the things moving in the rooms around you, you hear the people walking above you, and there's no floor above us. I think that's pretty intense up there as well.
What was did you say your most intense moment? What was your most intense moment? You've had a lot of them.
excuse me.
mine was my ultimate favorite is the old Christmas room that's not there anymore.
Oh,
And you
yeah,
mentioned
the
it.
original, yeah.
Just, I miss it. But when we were all in a circle and we wanted to go into the Christmas room, it was later in the night, and we weren't getting anything when we first went in there. But then we started blowing bubbles, and
I was playing the xylophone.
Andrea, you started singing. You were sitting in the back of the room, and when you started singing, then Darcy started playing the little child xylophone. I think you, Chris, started blowing the bubbles. And that's when we started getting activity. And I remember saying I would never bring my children into an investigation. I would never talk about anything personal. But you started, I think, Chris.
Talking about how old our kids were.
And you were a mom, and Dave was the dad. And then we all could bring that into the conversation. And when I turned to you, you were to my right, and that boy was right between us. And I turned quick back to Scott, and I looked back at you, and I'm like, did you just see that? And you're like, no. I'm like, oh my God. And then that's when all of that, you had mentioned, Andrea, all that activity just started. It was freezing. Everyone had some sort of experience. And that all started once we started, I think we learned from that because we started role playing or kind of coming out of our shells a little bit.
Becoming more personable with who you're speaking to. But I think it's because of all the experiences that we had there that very first time we investigated is why we all went home and said, you know what, let's start a group.
Yeah.
Let's see where else we can go. Let's see what else we can do.
What was yours?
That first night or anytime, all together.
Anytime.
Because I don't know, that first night though, I would see right off the back. Because me and Dave, before we went in there, I was like, Dave, we gotta find it. Keep your eye out. Let's look for any wires. Keep your eye out for wires or little speakers or, because we thought maybe this is just a fun house kind of thing if they're setting it up. Yeah. And so me and Dave are walking around,
scanning,
looking behind doors and up on ceilings and above pipes and
infrared.
Just looking all over the place for all that stuff. That was our plan going in there, and then just right off the back, I was seeing all kinds of stuff. I was seeing the lights.
Yeah, on the ceiling, right?
Up high up around the ceilings, and and I was hearing the. Remember, we heard the music box that sounded like the little jack in the box right outside the kitchen.
We were on the tour.
Right.
Me and you were the only ones that heard it, and we were in the back of the tour.
You know who was backing up that night?
Huh.
Karen and Chris.
Really?
Yes,
Yep.
and as a matter of fact, I remember Karen and Chris like through the whole entire tour, which is funny. This is funny because through the whole entire tour, they were stepping back or they were listening or they weren't listening to Sharon. And it's so funny because I remember thinking, man, this is going to be so stupid. But I remember thinking, they're so freaking cool. I wish like we could do that or whatever. And now like 4 years later, it's us
we're
that,
doing
like,
it.
steps back and listens and is like, did you hear that? Or like, we back the tour up and we're not even near the tour because there's so much crap going on right now. But I remember wanting to be like them. And here we are.
Yeah. And that's what she said. She was like, because I stopped it and I turned around real quick. They're like, what did you just hear? And I was like, I just heard a little music box. It sounded like
like those pop things.
Like a
Jack in
the Box.
Yeah.
And she goes, and they knew right up, there's nothing like that in this building. I just heard it right here, right below me, right behind me.
Crazy.
But me and you heard it like
plain,
perfectly
clear as can be. That was on the tour that night.
See, I didn't know any of this. That's amazing.
I forgot about that.
And speaking of Chris and Karen, we've met a lot of good people, investigating and owners of buildings and, different teams too. A lot of good teams out there that are, even some of the new ones that are popping up are, they've got their act together.
They weren't like us when we first started.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Leaps ahead.
Like, I don't know if they're watching, TV shows and picking up tips or, whatever they're doing. But a lot of the new groups have their act together. And like I said, we met a lot of pretty decent people.
I agree.
Absolutely.
There's not too many groups out there that are, who don't want to share evidence, who don't want to investigate with other teams. Their evidence is their evidence, and that's what they want to do, and that's all fine and dandy. Unlike us, who we want to investigate with other teams, and we're happy to share evidence, we're happy to share experience, we're happy to share, whatever we can share with another group or another person or another owner of a building or whatever. I think that's what we do pretty well, and what other teams are starting to do.
And I think when we do run into other groups, which we do quite a bit, when we ask them, where have you been and what'd you find, it's holy cow, we did something, or we found something similar, or oh my gosh, we didn't get any of that, but I know the room you're in, or something like that. And Katie and Josh actually said that when we just recently met them. They learned from other groups that they talked to, and that's what I think.
And we learned from
We do, too.
we learned from Chris and Karen.
Yep. They
And,
taught me flashlight
you know,
in the shadow
they
hallway.
they taught us some stuff, you know, and we learned from a lot of people. I mean, it took us a while for us to, you know, finally realize what we were doing. You know?
We're still learning.
Exactly.
Yeah, always.
I just
learning.
got a new app from our last investigation.
Right?
Even just being around other people and just watching them how they maybe set up their equipment,
Yeah.
the way they, you know, set up their voice recorders and their cameras or whatever, and or how they stand even, you know, because some of them get very strategic in the way they stand, and
What kind of questions they ask?
you know, like all.
And we're
all
pretty
that
lucky
stuff.
to have our own guy who knows how to make stuff, you know, who, I mean,
Dave.
Dave can do
Dave,
a
our
lot of stuff.
equipment guy.
You know, that, I mean, he's made his own equipment, he's made his own lights. I mean,
The
he's all
shadow
over it.
detectors with the
Shadow,
laser
yeah.
beam thing,
Thinks out
those
of the
are
box.
awesome. I love those.
Yeah, I mean,
Those are cool.
I want him to make me one of those freaking the dogs. Because I went online, those are like $700.
Are they really?
They're really expensive.
but he's probably
Like,
could
really
make it.
expensive.
That's
He's,
the thing.
But I
he's
want that.
actually he's looking into.
I want that really bad.
So take that home tonight, Chris, and give it to Dave. You need to make Andrea a dog.
As soon as he comes home from his day
Day
job,
job.
you can tell
We're all
him he
doing
needs
air
to make
quotes.
her a dog. That,
So yeah, did you guys, when we kind of joined up and went on the investigation, I didn't see this coming. I didn't see this, us sitting here at this table
Nope. Me
5
neither.
years later.
Definitely not. It was
Did you?
something that was meant to be kind of a joke,
Yeah.
you know, when
Or
we
something
first
interesting
said.
to do. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and we didn't even start as Paranormal Sixx.
No,
so,
we didn't. Good point.
Excuse me. We started as
Seekers of the other
Seekers,
side.
yeah, and you know, and I don't know what happened with the name. Whatever. Did somebody else have close to it or
Like
something?
the exact
So-
name.
Okay, so
It was a
I
band.
believe it.
and we had to
It was
ditch
a
it.
band.
No, they were paranormal investigators too.
I thought-
That's the thing.
A
that
lot
everybody,
of seekers, yeah.
everybody had that name, and
Right.
we needed to
And we did, and we, you know,
regroup and rethink.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, you
That
know,
was fun too.
I think this is a better name for us anyway. So
No, it fits us perfectly.
yeah. I just want to say too, we've investigated a lot of cool places. We've been to a lot of cool places. We've been to
high-end
private.
ones,
We've been
yeah.
high end. We've been to private houses. We've been to a private warehouse that we didn't. That we were just going there for. Okay, we were just going there to experience and
or-
test and everything else, and we ended up coming out of there with evidence too. So I mean, it's not like. You know, it's not like we've only been to one place. We've been to quite a few and gotten some, you know, pretty cool stuff. Yeah.
And the warehouse that we investigated was purchased, and now they're being turned into condos.
Really?
Yeah. So I wonder if any of our new tenants over there will ever experience
The things that we.
anything in there, because that was a brewery that burnt down, and you know,
Stir things up again.
yeah. So be wondering to see who gets in there, and if
Should we mail some letters to all the tenants in case you need where their business cards,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Residences. And that's cool too, because when we go out and we tell other people what we do, and they're, you know, where you going, what you're wearing your shirt, what's this, and every single person you talk to either had an experience themselves, grew up with it, or know somebody.
Even if
Yeah.
they're not, even if they don't, they say, "Oh, I don't believe in none of that stuff." But as soon as you start talking, they're looking right at you, and they're hanging on every word.
Yeah, and it happened this weekend. I mean, everywhere you go, it's everywhere. So whether you believe it or not,
Most likely,
it's-
most people, excuse me, have had experiences and they either know it happened or choose to ignore it.
Yes,
So,
you're in denial. Just so you know.
and that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, whatever.
But
You,
that's
if
okay.
you want to know
That's
it's
okay.
there, you'll find out, and if you don't, you'll just ignore it and be done with it. You
Yes.
know.
You know, they're probably afraid of it. That's why I don't believe in that. And that's
Well-
all right to be afraid, because you know.
Andrea, right?
Right.
But you and not no, I'm saying you say that was intimidating when we were going to go do that.
I tell everybody, still to this day, I tell everybody, I'm literally the most scared paranormal investigator you'll ever meet. Like, I've literally ran for more times when stuff was happening.
We have all been.
I think Andrew's the only volunteer over there that actually asked the guest to go to the bathroom with her. Can you walk me to the bathroom?
I really do. Or if I have to go back somewhere, I'm like, can you walk me back? Can you walk me back to the green room? I am not afraid to say it. Ashamed.
Really?
Yes, I make people walk with me through the hills of Rolling Hills, through the halls of Rolling Hills,
Through the hills?
through the hills of Rolling Hills, through the halls of Rolling Hills. I don't walk that place by myself ever. For anything.
But I think we've all been, it's even the bravest have been afraid at some point. It's natural. It's the unknown.
I don't even walk around with a flashlight there anymore.
Yeah.
And I scare a lot of people unintentionally because I don't have a flashlight.
Stealthy is what
and
you
I'm just naturally quiet. I move around quietly. Mm-hmm. It's just how I am, and I tell people, I'm sorry, I don't mean to do it, but I do, and I don't mean to.
Yeah, so we just did an investigation last week that was pretty off the hook. Everybody had experiences, and it was pretty crazy. I think for me, it was definitely in my top 3 places that we've been. I mean, that includes my first investigation ever. I mean, it was just insane. It was
I think
absolutely insane.
Group,
yeah,
it was the most intense investigation for our whole group.
Everybody in the group had experiences, and it was just absolutely insane. The only other thing I wanted to say before we sign off was we're going to be doing, it's called Para-Horror, the Para-Horror Carnival. It's in Buffalo for people who are around and who can make it there. It's going to be at one of the biggest haunted locations in Buffalo, the Central Terminal. And what it is, it's going to be paranormal, supernatural, horror. There's going to be tables, there's going to be vendors, there's going to be a ton of cool stuff. They're going to have some of the actors from some of the horror movies, some of the B flicks, it's going to be a good time. We're going to be there, excuse me, we're going to be there with a table, and it should be an absolute blast. I mean,
we're excited. We're really excited to go. We're
going to have fun, and if anyone's out there who can make it, and if you can make it, come over, stop, say hello. We'd be glad to talk to you about anything you want to know. And there's also other groups that are going to be there that are very intelligent with the paranormal and investigating and everything else. So, but if you're there and you can make it, it's August 26th through the 28th.
It's www.parahorror.com.
And what time does all that start?
Friday at
6 to 10, I think it is on Friday, or 4 to 10, something like that, on a Friday.
Here's the schedule. Hold on. Friday it starts at 6 p.m. and it actually runs from 5 to 9.
5 to 9, okay.
The first there's a reading that starts at 6 and then it goes from there. On Saturday it starts at 12 noon. And on Sunday, it also starts at 12 noon. So it's got a very full schedule and choices. So make sure if you're looking for a tour of the Central Terminal.
Yeah, they're going to have tours. The guys putting it together from Beyond Ghosts, they do a lot of, they put together a lot of events. As a matter of fact, that investigation from last week was an event that they put together. Para-Horror is another one that they're putting together, so
check them out.
If you have a chance to check them out, I know their Twitter handle is @BeyondGhosts. If you're on Twitter, the website, just look up Beyond Ghosts, you'll find them there too. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. So
And back to that investigation last week. Once we go through all our evidence and we get anything, we're going to put it up on our website, and you can check it out at we'll put it up on our YouTube, our Instagram. You can follow us on all those major social medias. Go check us out, follow us, like us, and thanks for listening.